Going back into, we're in Chaf Dalet, Torah Chaf Dalet, but I'm just going to quickly quote from Sichas Ran, Kuf Lamed Aleph. We've been talking about the Nekudas Tovas and the how to get out of zone 2 where I'm stuck in the Daiga, stuck in the fear, stuck in the Atzvus, stuck in the Marash Choreb. How do I get out of that into zone 3? That's what it's the how to. And this is where we're up to in this Torah, meaning Rav Nachman says, Mitzva Gedola besimcha tamid. So that's not a joke. That's very serious. To be constantly happy. So we've talked about it, but that the predicate, the din kadima here, is that it's a possibility. Now, tamid means even has v'shalom going through a divorce, arguing about money, arguing about custody. But simcha tamid means it's not dependent on circumstance. It's not dependent on if the kid is on the derech or not on the derech. Tamid means no matter how the marriage is turning out, Tamid means it's possible to find good in one spouse that will turn her around, and by making a better me in the marriage, that person's going to be responding to a better me too. Then it's never too late, and simcha is always on the menu. That's what Rav Nachman is basically saying. It's never off the menu. Like the waiter will say, "I'm sorry, the chef said we're out of that today." It's always on the menu.
And how does that line up with the Simcha Mazah?
Yeah, so Shlomo HaMelech, the simcha he's talking about, I believe you can check it out in Kehelis, is a simcha of... Sorry?
He's talking about Halelas?
It's talking about where I think the simcha is actually in this world. Like you have someone by the name of George, was it Harrison? Who was the guy in the Beatles? Yeah, I think so. So he kept a record of how many times he took LSD in a matter of 6 months. It was over 1,000 times. So it's a pella that after the 3rd or 4th or 5th time, somehow he didn't get what he was looking for. They had to try it again and again and again. So I give him A+ for persistence, but I give him a Z- for choosing the wrong route. Simcha is not LSD, and it's not anything that's outside of me. It's only inside.
No,
and that's why
he did get what he wanted. That's why he did it 1,000 times.
He got what he wanted?
He got his simcha in a bottle. He got it.
In a bottle?
Yeah, why did he do it 1,000 times? Because he did get what he wanted.
Which was?
Artificial simcha.
Oh, artificial simcha. That's actually, he knew he was looking for artificial simcha?
He wants the real thing, but if you can't get the real thing, it's why do people smoke or drink or all of these things? They do get what they want.
It appears that way, because obviously there's a... I've never tried any drugs, but from what I understand, there's a down afterwards, that there's a tremendous withdrawal, and then I've got to take it again or even more. Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's, but as you say, it's artificial.
That's what they want.
Yeah. So Rav Nachman's talking about, and that's what I think Kehelis was mentioning. We're looking for a simcha that's tamid. So tamid means it can't be dependent on anything outside of me. It can't be the next fix. It can't be the next meal. It can't be the money that's supposed to come through this deal. It can't be. And the moment I actually believe that, I'm already setting myself up, because if it does work, if the deal does work, and the spouse responds well to my bribery and manipulation, so it looked like it worked, but actually it's not, and it's actually going to backfire much more because it's not real. So
where do you differentiate? I want to understand when you say in Simcha Mazos that has to do with this world. And what is the Simcha Tamid? So how do you really differentiate both?
So the way we're seeing it as Ezo Asher Samech Bechelkai, my Chelkai, what is his Chelek? So now I've got to keep some sort of inventory. So that is way too abstract for most of us.
No, you started saying about this world and the universe to come. What do you mean?
No, it's talking about Nekudas Tovas. Nekudas Tovas is keeping inventory of Simcha. So I woke up this morning. That's the biggest way Hashem has given up on me. Your child woke up this morning. Hashem hasn't given up on that child either. When a person's got a decent health. I slept on a good bed last night. I slept okay. I went to the bathroom a couple of times, but yeah, I slept okay. So whatever is a Nekuda Tova, I just met a guy after Vasikin this morning. It was so interesting. He looked very, very happy. So I couldn't help asking him. I said, "Do you get a mazel tov?" He said, "No." He said he just had a thought that after so many years of davening, he went to the bathroom for number 2 before Shacharis, and he needed to go very badly after Shacharis, but not during Shacharis. So he realized all his life he can't count more than a handful of times that in the middle of davening he had to go for number 2 that could have stalled him from actually missing Netzach Chama. So it was so interesting that the Nekudas Tovos are there for the taking. That's the Lashon of Gila, which is it's actually a good translation, come to think of it. Rejoice. It's a Gila is a joy that comes because I didn't know it was there, and when it's revealed, now I've got a whole new list of items to be grateful for. All the times he went to the bathroom, and I was saying to myself, well, I have to start saying thank you for that too. So there's no end. Thank you, my dear car, that the brakes work today, the accelerator, I think you call it the gas. Thank you that my steering works. There's no end to thank yous. Try saying thank you for when you get dressed in the morning, and you won't be able to say it fast enough for all the parts of your body that you need in order to be able to reach your shoes, tie your laces, get your socks on. It's like ain't a double safe. So we've mentioned it before, either be grateful or a great fool. There's no end to how much to be grateful for, and that's what feeds simcha. So the simcha we're looking for is something that is not even esoteric. If you want to get an esoteric, yes. Those are abstract, but the more we recognize what the non-Jews are capable of, especially since October 7th, almost 2 years ago, there's nothing to be jealous of. Nothing. Zero. The natira and the sinner, the nakama and the kina that is so deeply rooted in them ever since Har Sinai, that we have so much to be Baruch Shebaranu Lechvoida V'Hivdilanu Min HaToim, as Rabbeinu Zal says, the different types of Toim, V'Nasanan Toras Emes. So that's a little bit more abstract. It's not so quantifiable, but the more we say it, the more we realize it's reality. So Simcha is actually really much easier than Atzvos. Atzvos takes a lot of energy. It is very draining. Stress is extremely draining. And the amount of energy and time that I have to put into repairing my body that gets stressed and then lowered its immune, and then I get ill, which is this Torah. The Simcha is actually the makar for all refuahs, and all illnesses come because of a lack of Simcha. So one feeds the other. Simcha is a way of avoiding illness, and it's also the cure if the illness is there. But the amount of energy that I have to invest in worry and talking about my worry and paying people to listen to me for my worry and then working to be able to pay, and it just goes on and on and on. And the more I think about it and more talk about it, the more damaged I think I am. And then I can easily get removed from, I know Hashgacha Pratis, but, and then I go into this long list of who hurts me and said what and diddled me, messed me up with my business, messed me up. That shadchan, never forgive that shadchan, never. And cut out, they're complaining, let go. This is what Rav Nachman is holding out for us, that Simcha is a Metzias. It's more the reality. It is the reality, but it's way more reality than Atzvos, as we're going to see in Torah 78, where Rav Nachman came out with the extreme line, the Ein Shum Yush Ba'olam Klal. It's Yush, despair, giving up, is actually an illusion. It is not reality. It's an innocent misunderstanding of Olam Hazeh. Olam Hazeh is deliberately designed for me to make the choice. Am I going to get worried? And I'm going to live a life of fear? Has Hashem been okay with me till now, or extremely good? So why am I thinking about tomorrow? Tomorrow doesn't exist. It never did exist. It never will exist. I only live now. So Daiga, Pachad, Atzvos, Marashchara, it's all Koyach Hadimyan. That's what Rav Nachman told us. I think it was Chaf Beis. He told us you have to give a new name to the Yetzer Hara. It's called Koyach Hadimyan, the power to imagine. And then I can imagine all the conversations that haven't taken place, but in my mind they're taking place between this person and that person who are against me. And before you know it, I'm creating this narrative where? In my mind. How far am I away from letting go? So you could argue, look, it's going to take weeks, months, or years. But I think what Rav Nachman is basically telling us, you can't have two thoughts at the same time. It's impossible. Rachel Gimel, a few places he tells us, and therefore the life of a thought is only as long as you think it. So you're always one thought away.
So that's the core of it.
That's the core of it.
So it works in a sequence, or they are working in a circle. Meaning, do you need it all at once?
Do you need all what at once?
All these rules, they have to. You cannot have two thoughts at the same time. You have to be besimcha. There's no tomorrow. Are these all work in a circle, meaning that it's like a pie, that you need it all together?
Right.
Or you can have it in a sequence. You develop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because to develop it all at once is very hard.
Right.
It's very difficult. I mean, unless if you have it really organized well, and then you can work on it simultaneously. But develop it in a sequence would be much easier. The question is, can you develop it in a sequence?
So I'm scared to answer the question because I'm not sure if it's either. My guess is that all of these are pointing to one thing, and that is awareness of the power of thought. It's just the awareness. Where am I experiencing the simcha? Where am I experiencing yush? Where do I experience pachad, yira, daiga? And the answer is the same place. Now, if I fall into zone 2 where it's happening to me, and I've got to defend myself, or attack back, or justify, or accuse, or blame, or give excuses, then I get caught in thinking that it's outside of me, happening to me. But the moment I realize, where am I experiencing all these people and things and circumstances happening to me? And the answer is always the same. So the moment I recognize it's an awareness, I'm not sure if I have to stack it. I do agree it helps to learn all this, but Rav Nachman tells us again and again, the most important thing is pshitas and tamimus. Even with simcha, which we're going to see Be'ezrat Hashem in Ayin Ches, the meaning to say, when you see a young child and they're playing, they live in the moment. There is no yesterday, there's no tomorrow. They're not stuck in yesterday, they're not stuck in worrying about tomorrow. They're just simply playing, and they're laughing, and you can make the most silly noise and the child will respond. And it's pshitas, it's tamimus, absolute perfect simplicity. And their happiness is simplicity. The Tam in the Chacham and the Tam was simply happy. His simcha, I don't know if it was an intellectual result of either a pie or a sequence. It could have been, but the way the story...
It depends what the disturbance is, he's saying. It depends what actually mixed up the simcha, because naturally he had the simcha while he was playing as a child. You had the simcha.
Yes.
So you say there's no one answer fits it all, because it really depends what disturbed your simcha.
What disturbed it?
Yes. What actually ruined your simcha that you naturally had? Is that...
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think that the Tam was exactly that. It was Tam. It was like it was a complete simple. It wasn't an agenda. It wasn't if my wife gives me pleasure, then I'm happy. No, when he asked his wife for the bread, and she passed him the bread, which was all, the only thing that was in the house, he would praise this sourdough like no end. Then he would ask, you know what, I think I'll take some white bread. And he praised the white bread. It's the same stale bread. And then he would ask for a drink, and she would pass him the water. That's all they had. Then he asked for the wine. She passed him the same water, poured some water. This wine is out of this world. It's so delicious. I think I have another one. I told you I made it. And it was just simple. It was extremely simple. It wasn't an intellectual simcha that the Chacham had, which was, when I get to Warsaw, then I'll be happy. When I get a better job than this, it's more befitting my intellectual capacity, then I'll be happy. When I learn how to be a doctor, when I learn how to do gemstones, then when I learn philosophy, and before you know it, he's chasing something outside of him without realizing happiness was always an inside job. It's never an outside job. Now, once I know that, then I can start counting. Oh, I like my clothes. There's an outside, but I like it, and I'm grateful for it. Oh, that's outside. Yeah, but I can be grateful for outside. Because I'm not stuck in thinking, when I get this wardrobe, then I'll be happy. When I get that car, then if I'm happy with what I've got right now, then Hashem says, oh, you're enjoying what you've got now? Let me sign you a check for more. Because I'm training in enjoying what I've got, not training in what I haven't yet got. Because what I haven't yet got, there's no end to that. It's unlimited. Adam wrote Samana, Yesh Lemana wrote Samatime. It never stops. But the chap of Shlomo Melech is not. There's no problem in roit time. That's natural. Hashem wired us to 1 to 200. That's not the problem. The problem is yesh lo mana, but he's not enjoying it. That's the problem. Once he's enjoying it, so Hashem said, "I can give you more than that. If you're happy with this, let me show you what real happiness is." And he keeps like. So for tzaddikim, another insight in Torah, or another insight in the tzaddik MS, or realizing. You know what? I fell into atzvus, and I know why. Because I actually believed it was true. And even if what that person said is true, but I believe what my mind was telling me. So it's always taking place in the same place. So the moment I'm aware that I decide my happiness and the temperature of it, it's an incredible liberator, because now I'm, so to speak, much more immune to being injected with someone else's atzvus, or a circumstantial atzvus, or my marriage atzvus, or my children atzvus. So now I can make better decisions because I'm in zone 3 about the wife, about the kids, about the finances. But I'm not married to any of that. So is that helping answer it a bit? So Kuf Lamed Aleph in Sichas Haran, I'm just going to read briefly. He tells us, and you've heard this before, this is just in different ways. He's speaking about a little bit behind the scenes of when Rabbeinu Zal wrote Torah Yud. He dictated to Rav Nosson. So Torah Yud in the first chelik is all about clapping and dancing, simcha, that is mamtik dinim. Sorry? That as well. So, but he's talking mainly that when there are gzeiros, we can be mumtik the gzeiros and the dinim by dancing, clapping. I remember when Chaim Kramer was really not doing well, we were all saying to him, and the thing, I got myself ill from worry. But Svi kept on telling me, you got to dance and clap, because that's going to be mumtik the dinim. So it wasn't easy, but you got to do what you got to do, because Rav Nachman says so. So Rav Nosson here is telling us something extraordinary. He says, even though there's amkus in every Torah, afal pikin ika kavanasoi, the main intent the Rav Nachman had, shenishma u'nekabel, that we should listen and accept dvar of his words, b'pshitus, in their simplicity, lishmor v'lasais u'lekaim as kol divrei torasoi b'pshitus u'ptimimus. Just accept it as simple as that. Meaning, this actually works. Dancing, clapping, even for something that is really tragic, actually can be mamtik dinim. Rav Arush talks about the mechanics, that if there are a dinim on me and my case is opened up in Shemaim, I says, look, he's chayav. So let's send justice, mishpat, and it comes down on me, and it feels like dinim. I know it is. Now I'm dancing, clapping, singing. So they're looking at me saying, well, you're not getting upset, you're not getting angry, you're not complaining, you're not blaming. Oh, you're dancing? So it doesn't apply to this guy. So what's the point? The whole point of the din was get the person to do tshuva. Now he's dancing from simcha. I'm a Jew. Shlasani goy, shani ezer Yisrael. The Hashem, you're taking away who knows what by this Yisurin, which we'll see Bezrat Hashem still today, hopefully. The Yisurin is so good. We don't ask for it. Bizyonis is much better than Yisurin. Bizyonis is the best of all. That's the best of all. To be humiliated, especially in public, awesome. Now, even though we do say in the Siddur, Lidei Bizayon, we shouldn't come to an Nisayon or a Bizayon, which Nachman famously says, we shouldn't come to an Nisayon that we fail and then become a Bizayon. But Rav Leib Steinman said the Bizyonis is so good, he can't understand why Chazal put that in the Siddur. So I told this recently to a friend of mine. He doesn't want me to say his name, and he said, I think it's talking about the bizyonis where it really matters in LM2. Don't bring me to a bizyon in Olam Emes because I couldn't be oimid in the Nesoyan.
Rabbi Yaakov Shechta, I think, in one of his drushes says that we say, and some say, and they conclude the Tefillah of Rachim by benching, Shloi Nevi Shloi Nikolim. So he says that the difference of a busha is in this world, and klima is on the world to come.
Wow.
So
So that's the Eikev B'Zionis. That's the Eikev B'Zionis. Now I shortchanged myself. Now I was Beit B'Yisurin instead of being Mekabel Be'ava or B'Simcha. So Rav Nosson is basically telling us, thank you for sharing that as a veritable Makar, is basically telling us that K'moy L'mashal HaTorah HaKadosh HaZois Shnei Masham Al Dei Hamachas Kap, by clapping, Vikudim and dancing, Nimtakim Adinim Haisa Kavanasoi B'Kipshutai. His intent by telling us this is as simple as that. Be happy, especially on certain occasions, going Purim, Chanukah, Yom Tovim, or Chasna, Ukiyetz B'zeh. Kol minei simcha shel mitzvahs shechasku atzman b'simcha gedola ad sheyizku lis'ora rikudim. Get happy about any excuse for being happy, especially mitzvahs, and then be aroused to dance, v'hamachas kaf, and clap, v'al yedezeh yamti kadinim. Ki kol divrei haTorah loy b'shamayim hu. Lema she'ein mi shiachol liskois lezeh. Don't say no one can get to this. Lahamti kadinim. Going up to Shemaim, I'm going to bring down the dinim and cancel them. I'm going to sweeten them. Lei b'Shemaim hu, lei Moshe ein mi shechol liskois. Lahamti kadinim. Al yedei hamachas kaf v'rikudim ki im gedolim b'nei aliyah. Only people of very high stature in Ruchnias, they can be mamtik dinim. So Rav Nosson is saying, no, that's not the point. The point is actually the opposite. Ra kol echad misrael yesh lekoyach hazeh sheikayim hadavarim kipshutan be'emes u'b'tmimus v'chen kol ma shene'emar b'chol Torah v'tara. This applies to every single Torah. So in applying, you can see there it gives more chizuk, but applying it to this Torah, mitzvah g'dol liyos b'simcha tamid. Tamid means tamid, all the time. So that means there's no circumstance in a person's life that will ever preclude him from simcha. It's always available, always on the menu. It's never not on the menu. So the question is, how do I get out of zone 2 when I'm pulled into atzvus or marash chara, or the Yetzer Hara has taken a good slice in my mind, and I can't stop thinking about it when I go to sleep, trying to go to sleep. Sorry. Then how do I get out of that? So that's what we're busy with right now. So I'm going to ask you to turn to Ayin Ches.
Ask a quick question.
Yeah, Ayin Ches Ois Zayin in prostic, in Tinyana. Sorry. Yes, sir.
There are times in Jewish on the calendar.
Yes.
I don't know, Tisha B'Av before Hatzos.
Yes.
And you're dealing with the deep depression or whatever.
Yes.
Any other time, Yom Kippur.
Yes.
The Rosh Hashanah for us is good. Rav Nachman did that already. He sweetened those. But let's say someone is not a Breslov, right? And he's seeing Mitzva.
Yes.
He walks around Rosh Hashanah night. Everybody looks somber in their face or whatever.
Right.
How do you apply? And I was thinking about this lately. How do you apply this mitzvah of Mitzvah?
Excellent question.
The whole environment is just not there. You know?
Right.
It's like,
Right.
How do you practically do that?
So the compass needle of Simcha is pointing to one place, and that's Das. That is really taking place inside my mind. So someone who's in an environment where it's very sober, and it's supposed to be because it's Tisha B'Av, or it's Chatzos. So Rav Nachman himself, he talks about in Kuf Chaf Hey, the very last Torah in Tinyana, he talks about that every single capital of Tehillim, which comprises not all but a serious proportion of Chatzos, every single capital needs to apply. I need to apply to myself, because when he's talking about his enemies, he's talking about the real enemies. The real enemies are over here. The real enemies is I hate that person, or I resent that person. I'm upset. I'm down. I didn't learn enough. I didn't learn at all. I didn't daven good, and I put myself down, and I'm beating myself up again and again. Yetzer Ra, Ra is as we said before, Roidef Atzmai. I'm my own Roidef. That's the worst. And then I keep counting what is missing in my world, in my avodas Hashem. Those are my worst enemies. So I've made my mind is what gets me in trouble. But the good news is it's my mind that will get me out of trouble, and that's what I think zone 3 is that Rav Nachman is talking about again and again and again. That is the place. That is the place. So even Chatzos Laila, where it is appropriate, as he talks about at the end of our Torah, that Atzvus and Marashchera versus Leiv Nishbar, a broken heart. No, a broken heart is something very special. The problem with a broken heart is I could get so broken about my Averas, or my performance as a husband, my performance as a father, my performance at work, my integrity when it comes to money. I can get so down on myself that becomes a slippery slope that enters the world of Marash Kara. So Rav Nachman, at the end of this time, going into Chav Hey, is a perfect segue. It tells us, for Leiv Nishbar, which is very healthy, set aside time for that. I got upset about something today. Good. I'll talk to my therapist, 1-800 Almighty, when I get to the session. But right now, I'm staying focused on the job. Right now, I'm staying focused on spending time with my wife, with my children, with my learning, with my davening. Because if I start being Lev Nishbar at any time in the day, it's only a matter of time before it becomes the default in my mind. And Rav Nachman warns, even though it would be very good for many people to have that sense of I'm broken. Why am I broken? Because I've got what to have charata for. Or number 2, he brings, because I'm far from a Kodesh Baruch Hu. So those are reasons to be Lev Nishbar. So Tikkun Chatzos, good. Tisha B'Av, global down on ourselves, because we know that everything that ever happened, it wasn't Bais Rishon was not destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar. That's for the non-Jewish world to know. For us, it was 3 specific Averas. Gilu Arayas, Shvichus Damim, Avodah Zarah. The second temple was not destroyed by Titus. That is on paper. But what really happened is my sinas chinam. I am my enemy. I'm your enemy. If I hate you, I'm the problem. So Tisha B'Av is not about mourning the destruction. It's mourning that it's still destroyed, and I'm part of that. But it's not meant to spill over into the rest of Av. Is this making sense?
Perfectly. Thank you.
Yeah. So look at Ayin Ches, Ois Zayin. Have you got those Zayin? I'm not sure if it's numbered.
It doesn't.
Okay.
It's
It's going towards the end. It says Haklal Ki Aso Liyash Atzmai. It's right at the bottom on the right hand side.
Vehaklal. It's on the.
Vehaklal.
It's on page Ayin Tes.
On my page it says 72. Is that what? And it's Torah Ayin Ches.
It's Torah Ayin Ches towards the end.
Towards the end. It's at the bottom of the page on the right.
It's on the bottom page of the on the right page on the bottom.
Vehaklal
Vehaklal Ki
Ki Aso Liyash Atzmai. It's forbidden for me to despair about myself. Ki afilu mishu ish pashut ve'enu yachol lilmod klal. For example, let's say someone doesn't even know how to learn. Or he's in a place where he can't learn. So he hasn't got a way to plug into the chiyus that he gets from listening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's words, which is the Torah, or his tzaddikim who are bringing it down to us. So that would be a good reason to be miyash, or any other example. Afal piken, nevertheless, gam be'es pishitusai sarach lahachzik atzma biras Hashem. Still make yourself strong with the fact that you have Yiras Hashem. You're afraid of doing Averas. And whatever avoid you're doing right now, you're going to a shiur, you're learning Kapitel Tehillim, you're making a phone call to do with business, whatever it is, do it with Pshitas. I'm going to go down 5 lines. Afilu im munach, at the end of 1, 2, 3, 5th line. Afilu im munach b'shol tachtias. Even if Hashem Shalom is already out of this world and he's in Gehenna, Rahman Islam, may the merciful one save us. Afal pichen, even so, al yityash atzmoy. Al yityash here, he shouldn't make himself biyush. That means it's not the circumstances, he actually makes himself biyush. So this is quite extraordinary that Rav Nachman is offering. Not only is there no yush in this world, but even in the next world. So that requires much more biur. But I'm going to ask you to go to the parentheses where it says Ki ein shum yish ba'olam klal. That's the lashon of Rav Nosson, where he then tells us what it was in Yiddish. I don't know how to pronounce Yiddish. if someone here could help pronounce it properly.
Yish is gar nicht vorhanden.
Thank you.
Doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. Now, if it doesn't exist, then, and I feel it, and my brain has told me hundreds or even thousands times, I can't. I'll never change. I just need my medications. I need at least another double session a week with my therapist. There's nothing. I'll never succeed. So now, comes along Rav Nachman and says, Rietti, what you're experiencing is an illusion. No, but my wife doesn't respect me. My children don't love me. I'm a failure in business and I can't learn. And I build up the case for where intellectually I can prove that the reason why I'm Beyush is true. And Rav Nachman is telling that even if you can't learn, and even if you haven't got a safe and you're in a place where you can't, there's no such thing as Yush. And if I do think there's Yush, I have entered zone 2. It's called an illusion. The Koach HaDimyon. It's an illusion. Because if I'm alive, that means God has not given up on me. The only way I can get out of that is by counting the Nekudas Tovos. Because if I really believe I can be Mekalkel, which is Kuf Yud Beis, if I really, really believe that I've messed up, I've got to use the same logic. That if I'm capable of messing up, then I'm also capable of fixing the problem. So the fact that I would get stuck in the problem and not even look at the solution because I'm beyond being saved, then I'm not even following my own logic. Because if I have a munah that I messed up, then have a munah that Hashem didn't let me wake up this morning, if not that He hasn't given up on me being able to fix the mistakes I'm making. And when we do make a mistake, if it's a -10 and we do tshuva me'ava, what happens to the -10? What number does it become? It's transformed to
Plus 10.
+10. What happens if the Aveira is -100?
Deines nas is Chias, yeah?
Nas is Chias. Becomes a schus. It's put on the other side of the scale when we come to Shemaim. All those Aveiras, and the worst ones, if we did me'ava, oh my gosh. So
great.
yeah. So the only Yush,
It's actually great.
yeah, it's incredible. So Rav Nachman is trying to help us understand, I don't care how brilliant I am in bringing evidence for why I deserve to be down on myself. You don't understand. You have no idea what I'm going through. If you would understand what you're going through, you would not be talking about this business with happiness. Don't you understand? I'm suffering. But where am I suffering? I can only suffer one place. And like Dovi said earlier, I could be suffering because I'm angry with a customer or a kid, and suddenly a customer comes and wants to buy from me, and in a rega, less than a rega cotton, already I've switched my entire body language, smile, and mindset because there's a potential customer here. So it's always taking place over here. It's the awareness that I'm producing what I'm feeling. And that's amazing. Because there's the upside of that is I can actually get out of Daigo. I can actually get out of. I can choose to. The downside of it, please be merchum for me for saying it this way, is I have no more people to blame. It's a lot easier for me to complain. That's the worst. Complaining is the worst. Blame, accuse, deny it's my fault, give excuses why it's everyone else's fault. That is what keeps me in zone 2. Why would I want to do that? If zone 3 is liberation, zone 3 is olam acherus. Simcha is olam acherus. That's Rav Nachman we quoted before. I think it's Torah Yud sign in Tinyana. It's a place of freedom, and freedom means I'm not shackled to people or circumstances. I'm not shackled to when I get out of this marriage, then I'll be happy. When this kid gets out of the house, then I'll be happy. And before you know it, all my shackles and chains are chained to things and people and circumstances or regrets. And Rav Nachman is telling me, Yush is an illusion. And once I know that's the real enemy, then the moment I think it and feel it, I know who the enemy is. I don't have to let you into my house. I don't have to let you into my mind. It's the most precious thing I own, literally. And the next precious thing I own is time. That's my life in this world. So why would I spend time thinking about the people and circumstances that have hurt me? And all the time I'm wasting on that, bittul Torah, bittul Simcha, bittul Hisbodus, bittul Tefillah, bittul whatever it is, I'm a battle myself, I'm a nothing and nobody. Okay, do that in Hisbodus, but if I'm doing it outside of Hisbodus, I pull myself down till I start really believing I'm unworthy. And it could be true I am unworthy, but if Hashem woke me up this morning, he's put a badge on me saying, I belong here today. So if I put myself down and say, I'm such a nobody, so Hashem says, well, but I gave you another chance. No, but I'm so bad, I'm not deserving of another chance. Yeah, but I gave you another chance anyway. So why would I waste my mind and my time beating myself up when in the same time, one word of Torah is nitzchias. One tefillah, please don't get me out of here, is nitzchias. Because I'm turning to you, I'm expressing emunah in tefillah. We're expressing betochen when we say, Hishalech imoy b'tamim. Tamim tiyeh Hashem Elokecha. There's so many mitzvahs we're getting, which we looked at, the mitzvahs of the mind, simultaneously, that I'm wasting my mind and time thinking about regret, bearing a grudge, resentment, hatred, desire for nakama. And before you know it, I'm pulling myself down. But that's the good news. I'm pulling myself down. I'm only one moment away from changing that. Is that so? Mashach moed elo atevus kain yush v'chulu. I'm so glad he put there v'chulu because I can't pronounce it properly myself. V'amaram b'chayach gadol, and he said it with tremendous strength. Rav Nachman was in his last months, I think, or weeks of his life. So it was a chiddush that this revelation gave him so much strength that he was able to say it with an absolute certainty of real firmness. It's a little bit like Svi Aryeh Rosenfeld, I never actually heard a single, I've listened to hundreds and hundreds of his tapes, but I never heard once where he doesn't speak with extraordinary conviction that there's zero wiggle room, absolute certainty. And he will speak about that with the emunah that he has in Tzadik Emes. He says, my emunah in Tzadik Emes is way more than I know it's nighttime right now. He was speaking at night. So you go outside, it's nighttime. My emunah that Rabbeinu Zal says Tzadik Emes is stronger than my das that it's nighttime right now. But the way he said it is that you can't argue. You can't argue because he's talking. He's speaking from a person who's absorbed this, believes it 100%, and therefore when it comes out his mouth, it's kaliboy kempiv. That's a ish tam.
It was like he was reporting the news.
Oh, your father was a Talmud.
Yes,
yeah.
Right. But when he said it, he was like Walter Cronkite. This is the news. This is the facts.
These are the facts.
Amazing.
No wiggle room. So Rav
This was
Nachman,
year of Kramer's father-in-law, right?
father-in-law, yeah. It was his Rebbe and father-in-law. The Amram b'koyach gadol.
No, he was Talmud of Sternhartz. He was Rabbi Maimon and Rabbi Kramer's father-in-law.
Yeah.
He was a Talmud of Rav Sternhartz. Yeah.
The Amaram, when Rav Nachman said these words, there is no yush, it doesn't exist. It's a figment of the imagination, it's just illusion. He said it b'koyach gadol, with tremendous strength, amkus nifla v'noyer ma'od, with extraordinary depth, kedei lahores, in order to guide, teach, ularames, and to indicate l'chol echad ve'echad l'doros, to every single human being for generations. Shelo yityayesh b'shum ofen ba'olam, that you should never despair on yourself for any reason in the world. Afilum yavar alav ma, no matter what happens to that person. Ve'eichshehu, no matter where he is, what he is. Afilum nafal amakum shenafal, and he's fallen to wherever he's fallen. Rahman al-Islam. If he just picks himself up by looking at himself, look, I'm Zer Yisrael, and that's not my fault. Hashem, you made me Zer Yisrael, so I've got a good start. Adayin yesh lo tikva lashuv. He still has, we're going to translate it as hope, but tikva actually means expectation. To come back, v'lach so'e lav yisbarach, and return to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ve'afilu ish pashut. No matter who it is, it can be someone who's very simple-minded. Im kein tzarach sheyeh lo yirat shemayim. He just needs to have yirat shemayim. I fear Hashem, I love Hashem, I have awe for Hashem. There's more to be said. I'm going to quickly dart 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Go 8 lines down, where it starts after the parenthesis, v'tzarach lechazik atzmai. You got it? V'tzarech hazagas may be yirat shemayim. A person to strengthen himself with yirat shemayim be'es pishitusai. At the time that he's being a pashtan. B'chol ma sheyuchal. Whatever you're doing, and with all your ability, you're reading right now, do it with all your focus. You're speaking with your wife right now, do it with all your focus. You're on the phone right now, do it with all your focus. You're driving right now, do it with all your focus. This is the line I really wanted to get to. He's able to come to a huge simcha al yadei tmimusai ve'emunasai. I don't need the circumstances to make me happy. That's what he's basically saying. Now, if I'm happy without the circumstances, now when things happen and it's good, I'm going to add it to my inventory of reasons to be happy. But they're not the reasons. These are pure bonus. And if we're really with this stance of knowing that even Yisurin and Saras are really perfect hashgacha pratis, and that there is no injustice ever on even the smallest level in the entire world, then a person is not only freed over here in his mind, but he's freed from the future Yisurin as well, because he's already knows, oh, if it's all hashgacha pratis, the only way I could suffer is if I'm Mesiach Das from Simcha.
Wow.
So that is really what is holding us for. I'll repeat that line. V'yuchal lavoi l'simcha gedola al dei tmimus ve'emunasai. Simple tmimus and emunah. Ki chochmas ein tzrichim klal. A person doesn't need intellectual reasons over here or wisdoms. Rak emunah u'tmimus u'pshitus bli shum chochma klal. Ki chochmas mazikim oid ha'adam. Wisdoms can be very harmful to a person. I always quote Dr. Freud. He's one of my favorites because he was narcissistic. That was the reason why his wife divorced him. He was such a brilliant father that his son committed suicide, and he was refused many times because he came up with a brilliant thesis that every person is mentally ill if they cannot be mentally healthy if they have not analyzed for a long time the dysfunction in their parents and their siblings, and especially mother and son relationship, and then they have a chance of recovery. It was such a stupid premise that after 3 professors completely rejected his thesis, he went to a client who was wealthy that gave a piece of art which was expensive as a bribe to a different professor to give him professorship. He was disqualified on every single level to be the father of modern psychology. Hashem wanted it that way, because we're living in such a brilliant koach hadimyon that I can actually believe I'm scarred. I'm not just scarred, I'm damaged for life. I'll never recover. I got such low self-esteem. But before you know it, I was like, really? Really? Yeah, it's never too late to have an unhappy childhood. Get out of here. That's the past. You can't live in the past. It's only a memory. I can move on. It's like you're driving. Can you imagine? You're driving and you're looking at you're sitting in the passenger seat, and the only thing the person in the driver's seat is doing is looking at the mirror, the rear mirror and the side mirrors. Please, what are you doing? He said, well, I just want to see what happened. What are you doing? You're driving. You got to look at the front of you. But you don't understand. There was nearly an accident. I just saw it was nearly. Are you out of your mind? What are you looking backwards for? There's lessons to be learned. But you're gonna crash. You gotta live now, because that's where you are. No, you don't seem to understand where I came from. It's such a big mess. So many traffic jams. I suffered so much. What is the matter? I'm looking in the rear mirror of my mind, and I'm reviewing. This my father, this my mother, this my uncle, this my aunt, this my brother, my sister. And this is ridiculous. It's absolutely meshuggah. It only occurred to me a few years ago. I became frum at the age of 11. It was a personal nace that happened to me. I davened to Hashem that I wanted a brother because I was fed up to the beyond. I was only 10 years old at the time when I prayed for a brother. I was just desperate because I had 2 sisters. They were twins. And I got in trouble every time I got into a fight. Every time. So for a 10-year-old, it was like so frustration. This has been going on for 8 years. My sisters were 2 years younger than me, and I was 2 years old when they were born, just a year and 10 months. And they got so much attention that I became very, very a big rascal. I used to pinch my sisters' backsides, run out the room, and my mother would not know why they're crying. I always got in trouble because I'm the firstborn. I should know better. I have to set an example. I'm the oldest. In fact, it just drove me nuts. This Bechor syndrome drove me mad. So I went to bed one night crying. I remember the sensation of the tears on the pillow. I was just so frustrated. I never prayed in my life. And I was thinking, how am I going to get out of this? It's 2 against 1. It's not fair. So then I did my math. I was never very good at math, but this I figured out. If I killed one of my sisters, that will even up the odds. It'll be 1 against 1. And then, why are you laughing? Oh, you thought I was joking. So then I realized, my parents won't see the funny side of it. I'll probably end up in jail. I remember these thoughts going through my mind. So I said, now I'm really stuck. Now what do I do? And that's when I broke down, uncontrollable tears, and I spoke to God, as far as I know, for the first time. I said, you've got to help me. You've got to give me a brother and even up the odds. I made it tonight. I would know it was really Hashem answering my tefillah. But it only occurred to me a few years ago, my sisters made me frum. Because I made a deal with Hashem that if you give me a brother on my birthday, then I'll be a good Jew. I had no clue how easy it would be for him to pull that off, and how hard it would be for me to be whatever good Jew. I didn't have the definition of it. I had no clue. So, but it occurred to me, this frustration I had as a 10-year-old was my whole world. I was always wrong. And my mother would hit me. She hit me many times, never, ever, anywhere except my backside. So I could have easily come out saying, I'm damaged, I'm hurt, I'm despised by my own mother. And before you know it, I'm having an unhappy childhood, and I'm 66 years old. It's never too late. But really, if you look at it in another angle, oh my gosh. Number one, I love my mother deeply, Aleha Shalom. I owe her big time. She was the one. I was in a non-Jewish school all my childhood, from 3 years old to 17. 17, I went to yeshiva. I went to high school, Jewish high school for half a year, whatever, and then on to yeshiva. But so I was in the worst imaginable non-Jewish school that you could imagine. I could easily say, Rebbeinu Shalom, it's not right, it's not fair. You put me in the worst environment with all these non-Jews, and my mother beat me so many times, only on the backside, never anywhere else. And I'm grateful to her till today, because if I have any fear of authority, it's because of my mother. I'm extremely grateful to her. I love her so much, because she used to warn me, Jonathan, if any of your science teachers ever tell you that there's not a Be'er Olam, she didn't say Be'er Olam, a creator, then you know they're wrong. And it didn't matter how brilliant their arguments were, my mother told me they're wrong. There was nothing to discuss after that. And so I'm extremely, but it occurred to me recently, I could easily have said to myself, oh, I'm damaged, I'm scarred. Why didn't my parents send me to a Jewish school and give me a fair start in life? It's not fair. Everyone can come up with their story. And Rav Nachman was telling me, no matter what time in my life, I realize, oh, I've been damaged, I'm scarred. Ein shum yush ba'olam klal. Don't go there. It's an illusion. Why live in an illusion? And then Has v'Shalom, as Rabbi Haber beautifully articulated on Tisha B'Av, how many therapists have destroyed children's relationships with their parents. And the parents are not even there to defend themselves. It's horrific. Yeah, that's why Eliyahu is coming. He'll bring back the Lev Amas Lebanim and Lev Banim Na'avoisam. And why? Because nobody can untangle the mess that they're making except the Navi. It's that bad. They're messing with people's minds. You're damaged. That'll be $360. You're scarred for life. You have to come back next week. Yeah.
Criminal.
The
And this
worst
is
criminals. They're
Criminal.
and this is
Not just the worst criminals. They're murderers.
the head of relief made the claim that over 90% of his therapists are bad. It's a very serious situation. They're only qualified to analyze and look for problems. But Rav Nachman is saying, Nekudas Tovos, look for the good in myself. That's how I build simcha. Look for the good in others. Even a Russia. Really? Really? Even a Russia? There's no one left out now. So what Rav Nachman is holding out for, and that's why I think he had to say it with Koyach Gadol. Why do you have to say it with such Koyach Gadol? Because he's fighting a tsunami of atheism and apikosis. And the apikosis is, you're damaged. Think about it. Hashem made me. Why am I damaged? Oh, because you had such a difficult upbringing, such a difficult childhood. Yeah, but Avram Avinu had a father who betrayed him, and Avram Avinu turned out pretty good. Besuel was a lowlife. His real name wasn't Besuel, but Chazal call him that because he was Boel Besulos. He was a melech on Aram Naharaim, and his two daughters, Lavan, his son, gave birth to Rachel and Leah, and Besuel's daughter, Rivka. Three out of 4 of our imahos came from very sordid backgrounds. They are our matriarchs. Oh, don't ever think that no matter what the skeletons are in my cupboard, that makes me less than. Nobody, no matter what their difficulty, no matter what their trauma, another favorite word, no matter what they've been traumatized by, never are they relegated to a second-class quality of life. And that's what Rav Nachman is telling us. Ein shum yish b'olam klal, even if someone of a professional letters behind his name or her name tells you you're damaged or scarred or you've been traumatized, oh my gosh, I've never heard any trauma like this before. This is off the charts. Leave us alone. We have the ability to recover, and Rav Nachman is telling us, don't go there. Zone 2 is very dangerous, and I might think I live there. I believe this is the only place I'll never get to Zone 3. I'll never recover. It's simply an innocent misunderstanding of reality. So he ends this point basically saying a person has to be mavakesh from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that I should be zeicha to be makurv to tzadikei emes, because it is tzadikei emes of the generation, and of course from Nachman himself, that is giving us pure ethics, pure advice of how to untangle from the Ra. Whatever the Ra is, whatever that evil is, today it's so brilliantly camouflaged. It's brilliantly camouflaged. We see in all magazines completely glorifying Olam Hazeh. That's what you see in almost every single page. Jewish and non-Jewish, it's shocking. And I can easily get sucked into thinking, when I can afford that, then I'm going to be happy. And Rav Nachman is saying, you can have all that, but first get to the real happiness, which starts over here, then everything else is bonus. Oh, you want that? It's going to help you with your avodas Hashem? Go for it. But go for it because it's going to help you with the avodas Hashem, not because. But we're living in Olam Adimyan, and I don't think any generation has been blessed with so much Gashmias that it makes it a little bit more of a nisayon to let go of thinking my happiness is things, or circumstances, or neighborhood, or even my family. Once I let go, now I can much more easily deal with the problems in the family. I'm not married to it. I'm not married to my wife, or I'm not my father, my kids. I am. But I'm going to have it much easier time knowing Hashem's only good. Toiv Hashem Tamid. That's sort of Nachman's own language in Haimaran. Hashem's only good. Toiv Hashem Lakol. In Torah Yud Dalet in first Chelek, Ois Yud Aleph is Toiv Hashem Lakol. Hashem's good for everything, not just good to us. He's good for everything, and that's why I need the Tzaddik Emes constantly to remind me, turn to Hashem. 1-800 Almighty, the ultimate therapist, and help me with Simcha. Help me get out of Zone 2 where I think I've got to react to what's happening around me. Because the best reaction is shtika. It's the sound of silence. That is what will the real tikkun. Summa mikula is mishtuka. The best cure for everything, mikula, everything, is mishtuka, silence. That's Gemara. Megillah, I think it is. That is the cure-all. And what Rahman is telling me, silence is taking place over here. This is the real silence. It's not just. This is the silence Hashem wants me. Let go of those thoughts, because if the storm is still going on over here, let go. I close as a pasuk in Kuf Tes Zayin, in Tehillim, I think it's Pasuk Lamed, says Kuv Zayin. It's a famous Tehillim with the Hoidu, yeah. And when it gets to being stuck on a ship with a tremendous storm and everything else, then when the waves calm down, Vayismachu ki yishtoku. But the real simcha is when the storm, it's taking place here. And when I quieten down and then silent the storm inside, Vayismachu, that's why we can come to simcha. Let go of the thoughts of thinking I'm damaged. I can't. There's no hope for me. Has v'shalom. Ein shum yesh ba'olam klal is reality. Thank you for your patience. Any questions?
Is that your own interpretation of shtika in your mind?
That's what came to my mind. Yeah, because
I'm not talking about the V'yismach shtika. I'm speaking in general that the main shtika is in the mind.
No, I don't. I'm sure that's not mine. Yishtok v'yidayin is
V'yidam aharon.
yeah.
Okay.
That he didn't even have a hirur. He didn't even have a
Rashi
hirur.
says Rashi says, but in terms of complaining in life,
Right.
on occurrences, on complaints, on whatever, you understand how to apply it. But if you adapt to mamish such a behavior of a let go,
Right.
where do you throw the line that you shouldn't become reckless?
So the question is, when if I'm letting go of complaining, how do I draw the line where I don't become reckless? What's an example you're thinking of, let's say, being reckless? Because I'm not being responsible to defend myself, or...
No, because you're not worrying anymore. So
Right.
Generally, a human being gets
Right.
things done because he's pressured.
Right.
Under the stress that he has to.
Right. So there's still chakris with kavana, there's still mikveh, there's still davening and learning. All the routines continue. But you remind me, I'm not sure if this is answering your question, of Nachum Ish Gamzu. I am certain, I think I've shared this with you before, that if you were the shamash next to him when the Caesar said, right, off with your head, this is a gift, you're making fun of me, right? Dirt on the ground, anyone can bring me that. And this is the way to appease me, so off with your head and everyone else who came with you. And that edict, that decree against the Jews, wipe them all out. Right? So Nachum Ish Gamzu, what's his immediate reaction? Gamzu the Teva. Now I don't think he was thinking why it's for the good, but he was just saying, I don't control what comes out of anybody else's mouth because Kol B'dei Shemayim Chutz Miyirat
He
Shemayim.
was ascended to a level. His betachim was ascended to a level that you see that the Shulchan Aruch doesn't quote.
Yes, it does.
It quotes
Kol Da'avin Rachmana L'Tava Avit.
which is it will turn out to be good. There's a
You can
difference
argue that
between
he was
Gamzu.
on a higher level because Gamzu,
Yes.
that not only is it when things are good is it good, but even this which is really bad
He was completely Semach on the Nes.
I don't know if he was Samech on a Nes. He would not be allowed to be Samech on a Nes, but he lived on a level where Hashem can't do anything wrong, and therefore it was fitting midah connected midah that a Nes would be done for him because he couldn't see the difference anyway. There was no difference.
So he was ascended to his betachim was much higher. I'm not
His
quoting
Talmud,
that.
Rabbi Kiva.
His Talmud, Rabbi Kiva didn't follow exactly his statement by Gamzu L'Teva, and he said Kamada over the Rachman L'Tava. Why? Because he knew that the general level of Madragis Betachim, it's not my own. It's I think the Mashor or one of the Mepharshim on the Gemara on the spot says that this is why that
The Nusach is different.
The Nusach is different, and because Nachum Ish Gamzu saw the Teva of Sekadosh Baruch Hu.
Right.
If you took away all this, it must be only replaced it with something bigger than
Right.
this. So it's
So Rabbi Kiva took his Rebbe's mindset, and Rabbi Kiva I think was an original Breslov Chassid, because when he's in the company of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Gamliel, last stuff in Makkas, and they're tearing Kriya and crying Shualim are walking across the Kodesh HaKadoshim, it's just too much for them. And his response is laughter. I'll translate laughter. What is he doing? It's so inappropriate. And when he's asked, Akiva, what are you laughing? Instead of answering them, he says, why are you crying? Duh! the Harabayas is Shemama and Shualim Holkim by. So how could we not cry? He said, well, your tears and crying is the exact reason why I'm laughing. Because you're seeing in front of you a kiyum of a nevuah. If we don't keep Hashem's Torah, He's going to send enemies and destroy the temple. So if you have a munah in that, which you're now crying over, then you can't just live in the now. You've got to live with Hashem. And Hashem has already told you what the end story is going to be. I'm going to bring you back to the land and rebuild the temple, Kibbutz Galias, Mashiach, and Tchias HaMesim. And so that's why I'm laughing. Because you're crying because you got a munah.
He basically said, אם אתה מאמין שאתה יכול לקלקל,
Yeah.
תאמין שאתה יכול לתקן.
Yeah. So he saw the bigger picture and he was able to say with belief shalom. He was not being what would be callous, insensitive. Yeah. What was the word?
No, I thought you meant
Disingenuous.
Yeah.
Disingenuous. What's good?
Disingenuous, yeah.
You know, it's not real. And he's saying, no, on the contrary. I'm telling you that Hashem is here. Because he said he's going to do this. So then you have to have the same emunah that he's going to bring us back. Which, that's a simcha. So that, I think that is the madriga that Rabbi Akiva, maybe he brought it down a notch for us. But Kol David Rahmana strangely did hit Shulchan Aruch. It's an astonishing thing. Because usually you don't get Musa in Chazals and Agadotas reaching Shulchan Aruch. That's not what usually Shulchan Aruch is for. But that is the reality. Reish Lamed, Siv Hey, called Le'olam Yeh Adam Ragil Loima, called Avid Rahmana Latav Avid. And that's Regilus. It's a training. I got to train. Don't go into complaints. Don't go into, I got to speak to my therapist. No, speak to Hashem. Go over this 1,000 times. Gamzul Teva. Kol David Rahman Latav Avid. Say it 1,000 times. And think about what I'm suffering from and say, Hashem is only good. Toiv Hashem Lakol. He's good for everything. I can turn to Him for everything. He's good for Parnasa. He's good for Mammon. He's good for Brios, for health. He's good for children. He's good for everything. Everything. So, I don't know if that's answering your question exactly, but ultimately is what we're...
It does, certainly.
Okay.
I mean, we just have to practice it a little bit better.
Every bracha is a reminder, Sha'akol niyeh b'dvaro. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, Sha'akol niyeh b'dvaro.
Amen. Chaim.
So that's
It's only
the
good.
follow-up to his. It's very close, but in the end of the game, our familiar state is complaining, right? Negative. That's why
Zone
the news.
It's in our DNA. Thank you,
Zone
Adam
two.
Arishan.
Right.
Aisha!
So we have
I said
somebody,
Natata!
we have somebody to blame.
Yes.
But what is something practical you can do on a regular basis to? I mean, I guess you can repeat that phrase, that mantra, if you will. But what other things can you do to, like, realistically get out of zone two, get out of that familiar state? Because this is how we were born with, right? This is the normal. This is how most people live.
It's an amazing thing.
So we've been programmed.
Lefum Sarah Agra.
Because he says that a child doesn't have it. Obviously, we develop it as we grow.
We've been programmed
Yeah.
that way.
We're programming ourselves. That's part of the living
When
the life
society
that we're living.
programmed us that way.
And then society will
Society,
tell you, they'll tell you, so you're always happy, so you want to tell me you were, and then the jokes come and all the other, I don't have to explain to you, right?
That's good.
Because society will tell you, then you're just reckless, like he said.
Right.
Right? Where's the line and what can you
Right.
do something practical
So
to?
what we're trying to do right now is get into the biggest question that comes out of this Torah. So you're telling me Simcha Tamid is a possibility, and you're saying more, it's actually the reality, but I'm not always experiencing that. But you're saying Mitzva Gedola. It's not stam. It's not like a chumrah. It's not like it's a nice thing to do. Good Eitzah, no, Mitzvah Gedola. It's huge. So what we're doing is we're going through. I've got a list of just over 60 items, and we're getting through it of how to get ourselves out of zone 2, where I'm reacting to what's going on in my life, to being freed of that, so that I can actually respond to what's going on in my life from a place of not being shackled to it. Because when I'm really invested in the tzara, it's very hard for me to give myself an eitzah, let alone others, to how to handle it. There are many examples, and we're going to go, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to go through quite a few, where it's clear from Chazal that they wanted us to live in zone 3. And Rav Nachman is the one who's telling us that is the only reality. And living in, even dipping into zone 2 is not a good place to go. Now, it happens to be there are tzaddikim amitiyim who they can go from zone 3 where they live, and they can go into Gehenna and pull out Rishayim. That's amazing. They can go there without fear. Rav Nachman was able to speak to the worst apikosim, and he wasn't just getting under the table like with the rooster. He was able to play chess with them, have conversations with them. He once snatched a book that one of them brought that was actually written in Greek, and Rav Nachman flipped through the pages and held a whole conversation with them. So based on the Greek that he had read and he understood. So I don't know if it was like he had a Yosef Atzadik experience, who he's taught Ayin Lashon, but someone of that stature, like the Baal Shem HaKadosh, he was once on a Motzi Shabbos, he traveled, I don't know how many hundreds of miles it was, with his wagon to a certain place where the Chachamim were coming to put him in Chayrim. And when he opened the door, he said straight away, you are 250 Chachamim in this room, and you're all Gilgulim of the 250 members of the Sanhedrin who were against Moshe Rabbeinu. So one of the people there was actually the
Adasa, you mean?
Sorry?
Is that like the Adas Kairach?
Yes, Adas Kairach. Aruga Sabosim was there, and he had his sefer, which was in manuscript form, and he showed it to the Baal Shem HaKadosh. The Baal Shem HaKadosh did this with the sefer. I'm trying to find the right book to do this with. He flipped like this. And he read the whole sefer that way. So it took a few seconds. He read the whole book. I once have a friend. I don't know if I'm allowed to say his name, but he's a speed reader. But I gave him a book. It was 350 pages. I timed him. It was in 6 minutes. He finished the whole book. But the Baal Shem HaKadosh had a different. It wasn't speed reading. It's just the Oisius was like one Ois. Each page just went straight into his mind. He understood the whole thing. And he said, what happened? I can't remember which chapter. He said, what happened to a certain chapter? You asked a question, didn't answer it. I said, no, it's in there. And he looked and he saw that it was missing.
Yeah.
So he obviously, he really did read it. So Baruch Hashem, he stopped them from making the Cherem, because he told them that they are actually digging their grave by doing this Cherem, because he was the tzaddik emes of the generation. So Moshe Rabbeinu also attempted, but they didn't listen first time round. So why do I bring that? There are tzaddikim who are trying to help us get out of zone 2, and they're able to do it. And that's what Rav Nachman
So
spent his
basically, you're
dedicated life
saying
on.
that there is no clear path. It's go to the tzaddik, who will define your pathway.
Yes, he's given us that path, but the path is through talking to Hashem, and nobody's excluded from that. Nobody, and Pshitas and Tamimus, that's the most amazing chiddush. It's a huge chiddush, because really studying Gemara and Rishonim and Achronim, one could easily come to the conclusion that if I can mefalpel in Tosfos and impress people with my mind, then I've arrived. And Rav Nachman is saying, Pshitas and Tamimus don't need any chachmas. And he talks about you don't need to be a hacham in Torah either, because it can lead to terrible things. Gaiva and Old Taiva, there's shocking stories from people who know what happened to certain Gedola Torah who in the other world they had done a lot against Hasidus in this world, especially Breslov and Lubavitch, that had to pay a huge price for it. So It's not a joke. But the real tzaddikim are the ones who really are not into machlekes. They're not looking to create pirudim. On the contrary, they want every single Jew, to come back to Hashem. And that is one of the litmus tests to know if this is for real or not. So, going like this about anyone, then you probably that's like an indication that might not be the person we're looking to follow. But Rav Nachman was not like that. Even with Apikoros, he warned us not to start up with him himself, and Rav Nosson had a hard time when he was told to continue afterwards. But it all paid off. They helped him a lot, and they admitted themselves that had Rav Nachman still been alive, they would have all done teshuvah. So Rav Nachman has that koyach.
I just want to clarify something. You said the trick is to be cognizant of the choice.
Yes, it's the awareness that I can
And
choose.
your 60 items are just, those are the reminders. That's to bring us into that consciousness of it's a choice. Yes?
I'm trying to create a case where it's so convincing, so compelling, that I'm not left wondering, well, what am I supposed to do to... Yeah.
I agree with you.
to-
I would think it's logical. If the person knows, if the premise of
Right.
the Rebbe is that it's a choice, and that if I realize
Right.
I'm perceiving my choice every single day, then the topic becomes a reality. It becomes a possibility.
Yes.
And you're saying that, but we need reminders.
We need what?
We need avoid this and reminders, and to get us back, always pull us back to the choice. Right? Is that what we're saying? Well, it's
yes,
not- don't say no.
No,
Say-
I
say
agree.
no.
I do agree 100%. I do believe that the main eitzah is tefillah. Like Breiter brings in the Sefer Zayin Mudei Emunah, that if let's say I'm still got problems with my cars, so he said it's either because I haven't davened for Hashem to help me, or I didn't daven enough. But it always comes down to that, because or anything that I want that I haven't had yet in my life, or what we're pointing to now is simcha tamidi. Oh, that's because I haven't davened enough to Hashem to be zeicha to it.
So tefillah,
and then
tefillah,
eitzes. Yeah.
and then we're trying to get to that
Yeah.
place of choice.
If I follow eitzes, and I'm not putting in enough investment in tefillah, I can easily turn around and say, but the eitzes is not working. I'm really stuck. I hate this person. I feel I can't go to sleep, etc. And what ends up happening is Rebbe Shalom saying, it's because you're struggling with anger, and a few times you've asked me to help you with it. That's why I'm sending this person to provoke you, because there's only one way to overcome anger, and that's practice. So he's not going to give me patience as a gift. I've got to have some schus to be able to get that. So Hashem says, okay, this is the person that provokes you. Okay, right after the Hispaidus, guess who's going to call you? Guess who's going to knock on the door? That's the person I'm talking about. He says, Rietti, this is what you daven for. This is the problem. The problem is tefillah works. And because tefillah works, that's why I really have to turn to Hashem. Help me get out of this anger. Help me that if the right thing is to do to stay in this marriage, help me to see how I can be living with this person with love and ava for you, and not complaining and blaming and not denying and not giving excuses and not living in a world of regret. Help me turn myself around, because I can't turn anyone else around. I've tried so hard. It doesn't work. Try changing your teenager. Right. Very funny. Do you know how many people have tried that? We spend the first 2 years trying to teach them to walk and talk, and the next 16 years we tell them to sit down and shut up. Pure humor, no reflection on reality whatsoever.
Okay, so tefillah.
Yeah.
Tefillah.
So tefillah is actually that it keeps you in line with your Tamim Pshita soul.
Yes. Yeah.
That holds.
Yeah. Ultimately, tefillah is bittul, because I'm instead of me believing in an eitzah alone, or people to give me that eitzah, Rav Nachman is telling me, go straight to the therapist, the ultimate therapist, 1-800 Almighty, and tell him what your struggle is, and beg him, help me get out of this, help me to overcome, because I'm tripping over myself all the time. So tefillah is a bittul to Hashem. Tefillah is an admission. I can't do this alone. With all the good eitzes, the eitzes are perfect, but I still have to plug into the source.
Shkaya,
Okay,
amazing. Shkaya, wow.